welcome to the deep dive.
Oh.
So today, we're going to be exploring this whole idea of like a divine assignment.
Yeah.
That feeling we all have that there's some special purpose for us. We're going to be looking at a Christian podcast episode. It talks about some pretty well-known folks like Rick Warren,
Okay.
Truett Cathy.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think the themes they talk about, they're pretty universal.
Yeah.
Like whether or not you're religious,
Right.
I think there's something in here for everybody.
Absolutely.
Like some really thought-provoking stuff.
What really stood out to me about this episode was how they look at the search for purpose. Like it's this journey of self-discovery. And that starts with figuring out where you fit in,
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, they use this really interesting analogy. It's like
Mhm.
discovering your purpose is kind of like understanding how to use like a product. The best way to figure that out
Right.
is to ask the one who made it,
Yeah.
right, in this case. They're talking about God, but even if you don't believe in that,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's still a really powerful message there.
For sure.
Understanding the why
Mm.
behind our existence.
Yeah.
Give life meaning.
It makes me think of that quote by Dr. Miles Monroe.
Okay.
He said, "The greatest tragedy in life is not death, but life without purpose." And I think that's so true.
It is powerful.
Like without that sense of purpose, we're just kind of going through the motions instead of really living.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And the podcast goes even deeper into this idea.
Yeah.
The passage from the Bible, it's John 15.5.
Okay.
And it talks about being connected to a greater source of life, kind of like branches on a vine.
Mm-hmm.
And that connection allows us to like thrive
Yeah.
and make a real impact. And you know what really resonated with me about that is how it speaks to the importance
Mm.
of relationships in
Yeah.
finding
Mm.
and fulfilling our purpose.
I think that's so important. It's
Yeah.
like whether it's that connection
Yeah.
with like a higher power or
Yeah.
our community or even just
Solve.
ourselves,
Yes.
like those relationships,
Yeah.
they really nourish us and help us grow. And they can guide us towards like our full potential and help us figure out how we can contribute to the world in our own unique way.
Now, another point the podcast makes,
Mhm.
that I found super interesting, is this idea that our deepest desires
Okay.
might actually be clues to our purpose.
Yeah.
But of course, it's not about just
Right.
chasing every fleeting whim we have.
There's a nuance there. The episode really emphasizes that. It's about aligning our desires with something bigger than ourselves. And they use the example of Rick Warren,
Yeah.
the author of The Purpose-Driven Life. His passion for helping others find their purpose led him to write this incredibly successful book. And it's a great example of how those passions can be channeled into something truly impactful.
It's amazing to see how someone's like desire to help others can manifest in something. That touches so many lives. But it does kind of raise a question. How can we tell which desires
Yeah, how do we know?
are truly aligned with our purpose and which are just, us wanting that extra slice of cake?
That's a great question. And it's something the podcast addresses directly. They bring up this proverb that suggests that we can make our plans, but ultimately, it's something beyond us, shaping our path. I see it as this reminder that we don't always have to have everything perfectly figured out, that sometimes it's about trusting
Right.
that there's this bigger picture
Yeah.
unfolding, even when we can't see it yet.
I like that perspective a lot. It's about being open to the journey
Yeah.
and trusting that. Even when things feel uncertain, there's a reason for everything. Speaking of uncertainty, the podcast also talks about how even like the tough times in life, those difficult experiences can shape our purpose.
They use the example of Joseph from the Bible. He went through some really intense stuff, betrayal, slavery, imprisonment, but all of that ultimately prepared him
Wow.
for his purpose, which was to save entire nations from famine. It's such a powerful story about resilience and how even our struggles
Yeah.
can lead us to something greater.
It really does make you think about how those things that we might see as setbacks
Yeah.
could actually be like stepping stones,
Yeah. Yeah.
towards fulfilling our purpose. It's a good
Yeah.
reminder that
Yeah.
every experience, even the painful ones, has the potential to shape us and teach us valuable lessons.
I'd be exactly what we need to like really step into our purpose
Yep.
fully, It's an invitation to look back on our own lives
Yeah.
and think about how all those past experiences, both the good and the bad, have prepared us for who we are today and what we're meant to do.
And, sometimes we get so caught up in this idea
Yeah.
that our purpose has to be this
Right.
big, extraordinary thing. But the podcast challenges that.
They emphasize that. True purpose isn't about like personal glory
Mm-hmm.
or achieving some kind of great achievement.
Yeah.
It's about using our gifts and talents to serve others, to make a positive impact on the world around us.
And they highlight this beautifully by sharing the story of Truett Cathy, founder of Chick-fil-A. He built his business on Christian principles.
Yeah.
But beyond that, he was all about serving his community and making a difference in the lives of his employees and customers. And it just shows you that purpose can be found in the most unexpected places.
Absolutely. And it really changes the way we think about success. It's not just about reaching the top of the ladder, but about how we lift others up as we climb.
So we've talked about the importance of connection, aligning our desires with something bigger, recognizing that our experiences, even the hard ones, can shape us for our purpose. But there's another crucial element that the podcast brings up.
Okay.
Faith and courage.
It takes a lot of faith to pursue your purpose, especially when the path ahead isn't always clear. Yeah. There will be moments of doubt, uncertainty, even fear.
Yeah, those moments when you're like facing a challenge and you're not even sure where to begin.
Oh, yeah.
It can be paralyzing.
Exactly. But the episode really encourages us to embrace those feelings and to trust that there's a bigger plan unfolding. Even if we can't see the whole picture, right now they quote a passage from the Bible about faith being confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. It's about believing in something bigger than ourselves, even when things feel uncertain.
That really resonates with me. There have definitely been times in my own life where I've had to take a leap of faith without knowing exactly where I was going to land. And you know what? It's scary, but it's also incredibly liberating.
It is. The episode uses the story of Billy Graham to illustrate this point. When he first started his ministry, he couldn't have known the global impact.
Yeah.
He just had faith, and he kept moving forward, trusting that he was meant for something bigger.
And wow, the impact he made is undeniable. A true testament to the power of just taking that leap of faith, letting go of the need to control everything.
And it speaks to the idea that you don't have to be perfectly prepared or have all the answers before you start pursuing your purpose. Sometimes we just need to take that first step and trust that we'll figure it out as we go.
So it's more about the willingness to step into the unknown than it is about waiting for the perfect moment.
Yeah.
Or feeling completely ready.
Right.
But that takes courage, doesn't it?
It does. It takes courage to say yes to those nudges you feel, even when they might lead you out of your comfort zone, but the rewards can be huge.
Absolutely. Now, for our listener
who's
soaking all of this in, they might still feel like this is a bit abstract. They might be thinking, okay, divine assignment. Sounds great. But how do I actually figure out what mine is?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I love how the podcast handles it. They emphasize that discovering your purpose is a journey, not a destination. It's about continuously exploring, learning, and growing.
So it's not like there's this one big aha moment where everything is suddenly revealed. It's more about paying attention to the clues, listening to that inner voice, being open to new experiences.
Yeah. It's about cultivating that relationship with yourself, your community, and whatever you consider to be a higher power. It's about noticing those recurring themes in your life, the things that really light you up and make you feel alive.
And being willing to take action, even if it's just baby steps at first, trying new things, stepping out of your comfort zone, seeing what resonates.
I think it's also important to remember that purpose can evolve over time. What might have felt like your calling 5 years ago might look totally different today, and that's okay. It's all part of the journey.
So it's not about getting it right the first time. It's about embracing that process of discovery and allowing your purpose to unfold organically. And throughout this whole journey, the episode keeps coming back to one crucial point. It's not just about us.
Right. It's not about achieving personal fame or fortune. It's about using those unique gifts and talents to make a positive impact on the world, to serve something larger than ourselves.
It's about asking yourself, how can I use what I have to offer to make a difference? How can I contribute to something meaningful? And that brings us to this really powerful thought that the podcast leaves us with, they suggest. That the clues to our purpose might already be present in our lives. We just have to pay attention. It could be like a passion you've always had or a recurring theme in your experiences, or even like a deep desire to make a difference in a particular area. Maybe it's something you've been putting off,
Yeah.
or a whisper you've been ignoring, a calling you've been hesitant to embrace.
The key is to pay attention. Explore those clues. Ask yourself, what really lights you up? What makes you feel alive and connected to something bigger? And remember, you don't have to have all the answers right now.
It's more about just taking that first step, even if it's just in the direction of your curiosity. Be open to the possibilities. Trust the journey. Who knows? Maybe your divine assignment has been waiting for you all along.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the idea of purpose and meaning, I hope. This conversation has given you some new perspectives to consider on your own journey.
Absolutely. And remember, it's a journey worth taking. Keep seeking, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.